we talked about this proof of work back in 1995. Adam Back came up with another version of the same thing in 1997, much more useful for Bitcoin's purposes. So the whole sort of nonce, number used once stuff. And then, right down to, Nick Szabo and Hal Finney. And, we cover all the stuff in great detail, right? And then we talk a lot about the white paper, all the different innovations, how Bitcoin, the game theory behind the attacking chain and everything. So we go through all that, and then we kind of go through this historically. What were the very first like this is Marty Malmy, who is the first Bitcoin developer, really, to help Satoshi, right? And he created the first transaction on Bitcoin, the first actual Bitcoin for dollar transaction. A little later, there was the pizza transaction. We talked about that. There we go, Laszlo's Pizza, and we contacted all these people. So we got some new pizza art from. You could just orange pill your friends, right? That was our goal, right?
Yeah.
And because you can give them the Bitcoin standard, and and by the way, we had a guy who was working at our conference, and we showed him the book, and he's like, "Yeah, I bought it." And he goes, "I want to see it." And I saw him. He read through every single page, and I go, we were like, "Do you have any other books?" He goes, "Yeah, the Bitcoin standard. I tried reading that." And I go, "How far did you get?" He goes, kind of like halfway, halfway.
Yeah.
And then I was like, he goes, "Yeah, I got hard money too." And I go, "How did you do?" Same, halfway. People don't read much anymore,
which is sad.
But then it's sad, but it's also just we're in an ADD world, right? Yeah. And the thing about this book is you don't have to read it from cover to cover. Literally, you can open it up anywhere you want. And you can just go, "Oh, yeah, mining pools. Oh, that's cool. That's a cool graph." And sort of was a little bit inspired by my Twitter, right? Because we just thought, God, it'd be really great if we could get some of these guys to kind of encapsulate all the energy and love for Bitcoin that we have, right? But it's really hard to push that into some guy at some meeting, at some elevator. And, we all through it. It's so hard to orange pill people, And
it truly is.
I just, I talked to him this morning, and he's just like hopeless, hopeless. I will never orange pill the guy. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it sucks. One thing, I guess, where can people get it? I think you've still got signed copies left. You're shipping them out in nice special boxes.
We have sort of two things now. We have these second editions that are similar. They're not numbered. These ones aren't numbered. They're numbered in the print. The first editions are numbered, so it says 6 out of 1,000, and they're printed like that. So it's a complete pain in the ass to do that. And they have this ordinal of authenticity. Second editions are unnumbered. Okay. I think the most interesting thing about potential Trump election is this idea of a Bitcoin reserve fund, right? And I got extremely excited about this when we were talking about it in Nashville, and everybody was talking about it. And then we're like, will Trump make the announcement or not? And RFK made the announcement, and then Trump sort of made the announcement, and then Loomis put this bill out. And look, I think it's an amazingly great idea, right, to have this reserve fund. If we get a reserve fund and America builds that reserve fund, and I do think if Trump gets in, we'll get some version of that. It may just be we're just going to keep the Bitcoin that we already have in the reserve fund, right? To start, we'll start with that. Yeah. But it may be more than that. It may be we're going to add X amount of Bitcoin per year in this reserve fund. Make it more difficult to sell Bitcoin. They could, right? They could do that, right? And I think if you may want to have some, I was talking with a guy from Norway the other day, and he was like, "Fred, in Denmark, they're talking about this unrealized capital gains tax, and I go, well, if you own MicroStrategy, would you be subject to the tax? He goes, no, that would be fine. I go, oh, okay, so they only get taxed Bitcoin, not a company that owns Bitcoin. He goes, that's right. And I said, well, what about an ETF? He goes, no, that'd be fine too. And I'm like, all right, so I would say you should probably put at least some of your money inside the system, if I were you,
Interesting.
Because, they could make life very, once you really see it as a math guy, you're not unseeing it. Okay. Now, they're always going to pull some math guy as evidence to support their claim, but I can tell you that it sits in a very, very strong position right now. And it's not just one law of price. It's also the adoption, right? If you look at addresses that have 1 million sats, addresses that have 10,000 sats, addresses that have a Bitcoin, addresses that have 10 Bitcoin, those are all power laws. The hash rate itself is a power law, T to the 12th power, right? And it's a power law that has existed over a 12 orders of magnitude, right? 12 orders of magnitude. It's like a quadrillion. So the hash rate has gone up 1 quadrillion since Satoshi, and yet before we became Bitcoiners, we had this sort of vague slush there about what was happening in the world. Now it's pretty clear what's happening in the world. They're debasing the money supply. You're going to be poor. AI is going to take away all the jobs, and and this is the one shot at not being poor. This is it. And in fact, you can become very rich. So that's my pitch.
I've got a hard stop literally in 4 minutes. So rapid fire, but you're doing some really interesting things with Twitter Spaces. Yeah. You've called them Bitcoin First Spaces. They're a daily Twitter space, weekdays only, Monday to Friday, US time. But if you can dive into what that is, what you're trying to achieve, how you're trying to reach a larger audience, maybe not already just the Bitcoiners in Bitcoin, but to be able to expand that, where people can find it, I'll bring you up full screen.
Be one of the group, come on in, you know what I mean? And so that's sort of the thinking behind it. And we will probably have another event. We're sort of still in the planning phases for the first day of Vegas. So we'll be 1 day before the Vegas Bitcoin event happens. And we'll just do a 1-day event at a high-end hotel in Las Vegas and just redo exactly the same format. And invite people from the first, the people who attended the first one would get first crack at it, but we'd invite a few, maybe another 100 people from TradFi and other areas who didn't, other Bitcoiners didn't get the first one. So just a very focused group of people, and no speakers, no sponsors, no stages. Yeah.
So love it. Sorry to cut you off. I do have a hard stop, but for everyone